Some of the most dangerous people that I know in business, they PSYOP themselves on the daily. Now, what do I mean by PSYOP? I mean, they have built a mental model around their life, their goals, their ambition that is guaranteed to ensure they reach their goal. No matter how long it takes, they will reach it without a shadow of a doubt. Especially in the online space, building your own PSYOP and PSYOPing yourself is vital. Now, it's very hard because society has been built around the idea of people being cogs in the machine, which you could say is an unpopular opinion, but it's true. The society has been built for people to follow the same preset instructions that they have done for years and years to ensure society maintains the same consistency and the same structure and the same systems at all times. There are people who create the button and there are people who press the button. And the key difference is all their mental framework and their mental model. Now, PSYOPing yourself can be seen as many different ways. There's many different ways to achieve the same end goal. Some of my friends, they have a mental mantra they repeat every single morning as a form of meditation to help them stay in line with where they're heading. Other friends I know, when they feel unmotivated, they have a jar of different reasons why they want what they want on their desk, and they pick out a random one to make sure that they remember why they're even doing this. Everyone has a different structure, a different way that fires them up to keep that mental model in check. And there's various parts to building a strong mental model, whether that be what you listen to, what you consume, what you think, the type of people you talk to, the type of books you read, everything. There's so many pillars that come into play around building a non-destructive, a non-breakable mental model. Me personally, what I find helps a lot is I'm very strict on what I consume, whether that be on social media, the music I listen to, the conversations I even have with people, and the books I read as well. I'm very, very strict on what I allow to impact me. Now, rewind a few years ago. I was going through a lot of things in my personal life and I decided, screw it. I'm going to go overseas, and I moved across to Indonesia. I spent 6 months in Indonesia by myself. The first 3 months, I did not have a single friend. I did not go out drinking. I did not party. I did not even talk to random people. My routine every single day was wake up around 6 a.m., walk 5 minutes to the co-working space that I had, along the rice fields, thinking about what I had to get done throughout the day. I would sit at that co-working place for around 12 to 15 hours, 6 days a week. I would eat at the exact same place every single day for lunch and dinner, the same meal every single day. I did that to limit my amount of decision making so I could purely focus on what I had to get done and just getting it done throughout the day. Then after work, I would walk home along the same rice field, 5 minutes home, sit down in bed, journal, read a book, watch motivational mentality, or even some Andrew Tate podcasts, just to really frame my mind in the right way. Now, I did this on repeat for 3 months straight. On Sundays, I would take off in the morning, or I'd go to the co-working space and read, or go get a massage and treat myself. But Monday to Saturday, every single day, the exact same thing on loop to make sure that my mental model was strong and unbreakable. It allowed me to rebuild myself in my own echo chamber, where the only thoughts I had were my own or the content I was consciously choosing to consume. Now, that built the key foundations to help me grow my business and grow my mentality to a point where nothing really phases me anymore. I know I have unbelievable mental strength and an unbreakable mental model because I took that time to basically reset, to rebuild, to make sure that nothing could actually phase me. And then from there, I refined and refined over and over, building that mental model even stronger to the point now, I know I can do anything. I know I can handle any situation, no matter how hard it is, because I know within myself exactly who I am. I know my own capabilities, and I did the deep dive into my own thinking, my thought processes, and what I truly believed in. I PSYOPed myself constantly. I still, to this day, PSYOP myself. Now, talking to you right now, I have on the wall behind my camera heaps of different posters to maintain that consistency, to psy up myself, where some of them say by any means necessary. Some say I must live in a certain way, or it's only delusional until it works. Now, prior to that, I had quotes, I had statements on the wall that constantly I would look while I'm working, just off to the side of my screen, just off the side of the camera, anytime I was thinking, to subconsciously train myself to think that constantly, to psy up myself. Now, me and my mates, we have a saying: to truly be successful, you need unequivocal, delusional self-confidence. So much so that no matter what someone says to you, it's irrelevant. It truly becomes irrelevant because, in my opinion, society has been built to install self-doubt in people. And to be truly successful, you cannot afford to have self-doubt. You cannot afford to have a wavering ideology of yourself. You must know yourself from A to Z, every single pillar of who you are, your identities, and what you use to identify yourself. Because situations will arise that will challenge you. For example, I believe a man who caves cannot be trusted. A man who caves to his emotional desires, a man who's emotionally consistent, cannot be trusted. So you need to psy up yourself. You need to convince yourself that you can do whatever it is you believe that you're going to do. Whatever you believe you're meant to be here to do, that is a non-negotiable psy-op that needs to happen. You need to understand hard things are important. Hard things need to be done. No matter how badly you don't want to do it, you still need to do it, because at some point in life, life will get hard and you need to continually push yourself. You need to continually believe that everything you set your mind to, you will achieve. The key difference between someone who does and doesn't succeed in life is how hard they're willing to try, how many sacrifices they're going to make. And if you can't psy up yourself, if you can't truly believe you're going to achieve everything you're working to, then what is the point? What is genuinely the point of sitting there trying to work hard and achieve something if you know you might not get it? That's not an option. Say you want a Porsche 911 GT3 RS, which I want. I know I will get it at some point. When? I don't know, but it's a non-negotiable because I show up every single fucking day. Every day I make progress, even if it's 1%, because I've psy-upped myself so hard to believe in that it's a non-negotiable. It's not a matter of if, it's just when. When am I going to get that? Because I constantly think about it. I literally have a poster on the wall that says no risk, no Porsche. Now, why do I want it? As I spoke about in the last video, the reason why, it's a personal trophy. I know I can achieve it, and I want a physical representation of how hard I work, because I know that I outwork majority of people, because I'm willing to. I've psy-upped myself that I know I will achieve it. There is not a shadow of doubt in my mind that I will achieve it. You need to psy-up yourself. You need to also be able to distinguish the difference between a social psy-op and a personal psy-op. Society is constantly psy-opping the masses, whether it be marketing or media or the news or pushing agendas. There is always psy-ops happening in the background. The important thing is to be able to discern the difference between a self-installed psy-op and a social installed psy-op. And as you look deeper in yourself, you will understand the key differences. But the only way to achieve that is by starting to understand yourself. To give you some insight, during winter, I go in with winter arc mode. I cut out all my vices. I cut out any degree of easy, cheap dopamine, scrolling, drinking, partying, whatever it is. I dial in and I purely focus on work, because in my mind during winter, everyone's cold, they're lethargic, everything slows down, which allows me to speed up and beat my competition. But as part of this winter arc, I've tried something different. Every day at night, I reflect by doing 3 prompts to sharpen my mind. Now, I've trained an AI to give me prompts that'll help me discover things about myself, to give me self-introspective, to look deeper inside myself, whether that be mentality, mindset, physicality, reflecting on the day, no matter what it is, every single day, without fail, 3 journal prompts. And then at the bottom, I do today's lesson. So I'm constantly reevaluating my thinking. It helps significantly in emptying my mind. Now, that might not work for everyone, but it works really well for me. So I've been doing it nonstop, 3 months straight, along with no vices, so that all I'm doing at the moment is thinking, learning, and working. And the difference I've seen has been astronomical. I feel sharp, I feel deadly, like a weapon, which is what you want in life. You want to psyop yourself to know that you can handle anything and that you are a weapon of mass destruction. Because if you believe that, then you turn into that. What you think is your reality. And a friend of mine told me quite a long time ago, the reason they call it spelling is because you're casting a spell. Now, I'm not a spiritual person, but that hit home because it's true. What you say you are, you eventually become. So you need to psyop and train your brain into becoming unbreakable, unwavering, completely capable. And all of that stems from what you actually think about yourself, what you actually think about on the daily basis, and what you allow to infect your thinking. In a previous video, I talked about protecting your peace and how when I was in Thailand, my friend, he told me, why are you telling me that? Now I'm infected with that thought process. It's so important to protect your peace. It's so important to know your why, because all of that comes together to create your mental model. And how successful you are is how strong your mental model is. It's as simple as that. Andrew Tate talks about mental model all the time. He says depression isn't real because it's not real for him. Now, it might be real for people, but your mental model is really what restricts what can and can't happen in your life. If you are entirely religious and you have key boundaries that cannot be pushed, then that's becomes who you are. Those boundaries are what you identify with, and they guide your decision making. So it's so important to become so aware with yourself. You need to psyop yourself, understand yourself entirely. Otherwise, you're never going to achieve what you want, and it's just going to be words over actions. So the key takeaway from this video is it's so important to learn what the difference between a social imposed psyop is and an internal personal psyop. Because everything that we're raised around, our parents' beliefs, society beliefs, your country of birth's beliefs, all of that forms your key identity. But at some point you need to sit down and go, no, that's not actually what I want. I was raised with that ideology, but that's not my ideology. And you need to build your own ideology, your own thought processes, your own psyop over time, obviously. It's not going to happen overnight, but you consciously need to be understanding why you think what you do. Where is that thought process coming from? Where is that belief coming from? At the end of the day, you're either psyoped by society or you psyop yourself. And all I know is I'd rather be in control of my own thoughts, in control of my own destiny, in control of what I believe about myself, because I'm able to change it. I'm able to evolve. Analyze yourself. Think about why you believe that. Where did that belief come from? Psyop yourself. Push yourself. Understand yourself. Tate made a great statement, and I don't know if this stems from him, so I could be wrong. But one of his key mottos that has always stuck to me is that in this life, you spend the most amount of time by yourself. So try not to lose their respect.